Thanks, Neil. That was quite a build-up to me, and I would never say that I'm unhappy to talk about cricket or PCS Pro, but yes, it is 7 o'clock in the morning and -2 or 3 here. So anyway, great to have you all along. A big crowd building by the looks of it. So yeah, welcome along, and hopefully you all learn something tonight, and yeah, there's some benefit for you. Okay, I'm going to, as Neil said, share my screen now. So actually, just first thing, so what I'm going to do tonight is just cover the main sort of core scenario of PCS Pro being used for streaming at recreational level, which is the live scorer doing the streaming as well from one laptop using one camera and doing that to YouTube, and then possibly embedding it back to their Play Cricket Match Centre. So obviously, we're well aware that there are other, setups which we can, provide advice on if needed separately. But yeah, tonight's just really about live scorer, also live streaming, one laptop, one camera, YouTube, and the Play Cricket Match Centre. So yeah, that's the key. So I'll now share my screen, and hopefully you can now see PCS Pro on screen. Whoops, let me get rid of that. Very distracting when people are still joining, but trying to get rid of it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so PCS Pro, it's a video file just playing at the moment in there, but we'll come back to the screen shortly. So the first thing I wanted to do was just talk about the YouTube channel as kind of the first thing that obviously you need to have set up for yourselves. I'm not going to go through that process. Going to assume that you've either already done that, or you can work that out when you go through the YouTube website to set up your account. A couple of things on that point. So it does take 24 hours at least for YouTube to verify and activate an account. So make sure that's obviously well done or done well in advance of your first game, because it's not going to happen on a Saturday morning. So you can see here I've logged into the MV Play account, and then the first thing to do once you've done all this, is to come to YouTube Studio, which is where all things video and live streaming are handled, and from Create come up to Go Live. So this will dump me into the YouTube Stream Manager, and the first warning we're getting there is just that we're in the wrong YouTube event. Don't worry about that. We're going to come to Manage here, and we'll slip over to where all your YouTube events can be set up. And by a YouTube event, we mean an event that's set up basically one per game day, if you like. So we definitely recommend that. There is a way to stream to YouTube just kind of automatically, which is kind of what you just saw before, but we do recommend that you set up an event again in advance of every game that you're going to go to stream. A couple of reasons for that. It does mean that you can pre-publish those events on your YouTube channel. If you just start streaming to YouTube now, then nobody will have known in advance that that was about to happen. So scheduling an event is really good. Obviously, you can do that week by week if you want to, or you can do it, for the whole season if you're that organized. It also helps with broken streams. So if the stream breaks for whatever reason during the day, or you need to stop and restart it, YouTube, I'm pretty sure now, has a process whereby it will stitch the different sections of the stream back together if it's all pointing at the same event, and so you then get one nice clean section of video for the recorded stream. And you can also get embed codes from here as well. So I've done this here, and you need this for, embedding this back to the Match Centre on Play Cricket. So one thing before that, though, is, as I'm sure most of you know, is the key is the stream key here. So obviously for YouTube to know that the stream you're sending it is related to your account, PCS Pro needs to have the same stream key in it. So we can copy that from there. We don't need to view it, but we can copy that and then come into Tools, Configuration, Live Streaming, and paste that into there. You can see that I'm already set up to do that. Okay, so that's the stream key, but then also, yes, the embed key. So you can also get that in advance as well. So if I come to the channel content of YouTube and come to here, then I can click on this match and come to the video link. And that's the event waiting, ready to be started. If I right click on there, I get the copy embed code. So I can do that now. So when we get later on in the demo to actually start the stream, then we can copy that in so that it embeds in the match center. Which does lead me to one other key point about YouTube, is that new accounts on YouTube won't allow you to do that embedding immediately. It's part of their social responsibility and community sort of protection stuff now that I think it's, well, the last time I checked, which was yesterday, it seems to be 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 viewer hours. So yeah, prevent people streaming obviously objectionable material on YouTube before they've got that sort of community following and a respected account with YouTube. So be aware of that, but I'll show you a wee trick that we've got within PCS Pro to get around that, so that you can still kind of embed the stream in the match center. Okay, so that's the YouTube end. The next thing to do in advance of setting up or doing your first game is loading any media files that you want to use for example, for auto replays as activations before the actual replay of the ball clip. But also, for example, sponsor or club branding or adverts that you want to show. So you can see here, I've come to my documents, cricket matches and _ media folder. And this is where you can load these files into it. You can see here, I've got a mixture of MP4 files, PNG files and JPEG files. And also a mixture of sources, so just from ourselves, but also from some of our other clients that I use their stuff for demos. So yep, preload those into here, and preferably do that with PCS Pro closed, and then when PCS Pro is open, it will automatically detect that those files are there, and it will make them available in the appropriate drop downs for setting those sorts of things up, or showing, as I say, ads into the live stream. So yep, do that, and yeah, put them into that _ media folder, and away you go. Excuse me. So we will leap over to PCS Pro. And as mentioned at the start, so we're just doing the one camera setup. So come into tools configuration, but yeah, really over to you guys to get really familiar with your cameras or camera, and whatever different type that is. I guess most people on the call are using an IP camera. So come into tools, video capture, and come to either add a capture device or come into settings if it's already loaded. So normally through IP camera. Phil King has already sent out all of those to those people that have got IP cameras with instructions. Yeah, because I'm at home tonight, I can't connect to our IP camera in the office. So I'm just going to use a preloaded video file, which you can see playing in the background there. So, but yep, really important to get familiar with your camera setup, and yeah, do that before game day so that Saturdays and Sundays are very easy. Next thing around setting up in advance is just obviously the live streaming configuration itself. So you can see here we're streaming to YouTube. We've got our stream key ready to go. We're going to stream at 720p, which is our recommended resolution for streaming. You can go up to 1080p with a higher bit rate, so the amount of data that's basically in each video frame that's being sent. But we'd only sort of support that if you know that you've got really good internet upload speed. To be honest, in my personal experience, I think when you watch a stream on YouTube or an embedded match center, it's very hard to tell the difference between a 1080p and a 720p stream. So personally, I don't see much benefit in doing a 1080p stream, especially if it's going to cause potential issues with internet bandwidth, and it may buffer or go jerky and jumpy. So I think safest to stick at 720p. You can lower the bit rate on there if you do run into problems, but if you get more buffering, then and that your internet is perhaps not so good, then dropping to 480p is an option as well. But 720 is the recommended, and that's why it defaults to that. You'll notice there that we do give an indication also of how much data this is going to use at this setting. So keep an eye on that, or be aware of that as well. A couple of other things just to mention while we're in this dialogue here is just down the bottom here, this instant replay section. So enabling the live stream instant and auto replays. So we'll come to this a little bit later on, but again, set it up pre-match and do it once, and obviously the settings will be saved. The default second duration for the replays is actually 10 seconds, but I reckon you can get away a little bit with that. I use PCS Pro to stream my club games here in Christchurch, and through my experimentation, I reckon you can get away with 12, but obviously, when spinners are on and things, you've got to be aware of not wanting to have to manually ditch out of a replay to make sure you don't miss the next ball. So be aware. Maybe it's something you observe yourselves and play around with it and get comfortable with whatever number you have in there. And then the other one down the bottom is show the replay watermark during instant or auto replays. So I'm sure you're probably familiar with this, that when you're in a replay mode, the overlay graphic will come off. But then there is a replay badge in the bottom right hand corner to emphasize to the viewer that they are on a replay. However, you can turn that off if you want to, which means it'll just be a blank clean as it were video feed in the replay. But that's enabled by default, because we think that's a good idea to have that on there, but you can turn that off. Just one point before we close out. Whoops, I didn't mean to click on those. Just one point before we close out of here is that if you do have to make any changes to, say, the resolution or the bit rate or these settings here while you're streaming, because you have run into internet bandwidth problems, if you do make any of changes, you will need to stop and restart the stream for those changes to take effect. So basically, when PCS Pro launches a stream is when it will load or search for and load all of the appropriate settings. So it's not looking for any changes while it's still streaming. So yeah, any change you do make in here, you'll need to stop and restart the stream, which you can do. And yeah, if you do that within 10-15 seconds to stop and then let it really stop and then restart, don't do it too quickly. It should then be fine. Okay. Whoops, just reloading the video. Okay, so back into PCS Pro itself, and this next category of a few things I like to call the game day stuff that you can do, but before the toss, to check that everything's going to be set up as you want it. Obviously, as I said before, all the settings are saved with PCS Pro, so nothing should change. But we do recommend absolutely that you double check all your settings before you get anywhere near starting the stream on a new game day. We're also aware of clubs in the UK where there might be the same hardware as used at a club, but there might be different scorers or users doing the scoring and streaming. So obviously you can always blame the other person that they must have changed something. So yeah, it always pays to double check the settings that you're about to go live with, because obviously once the game starts, we want things to be as automated as possible, and so the scorer can focus on just scoring and not having to rechange settings or anything like that. So definitely worth 5 minutes or so to check all the settings beforehand. So the first section in this kind of area of what you can do before the toss, is around scorer or setting up for the stream itself. So those of you who are familiar with it, you can see that I've got all of those things are off at the moment, but under video display, these top three here are pretty critical. So certainly show the live streaming controls, so that will add this band under video display here. So we've actually got the start live stream button, which is obviously pretty important. Show the streaming overlay control, which is this panel in behind here, which gives you manual control of what's shown on the overlays. But also, as you can see there, it's highlighted on auto with cards, which means, again, you can put that into the automatic mode, and as you score the game as normal, there's no extra work for the overlays to be updated and produce some really, informative information for the viewers. And then lastly, but perhaps most importantly, is the show overlay on video display. That will take a few seconds to load. There we go. And that does control both the overlay down the bottom and the two watermarks at the top left and the top right. Just a word on that, we've had a couple of inquiries about this, so worth mentioning tonight, is that the baseline overlay here won't show until the first innings has been created. So if you're in that either pre-toss mode, or you've done the toss but haven't actually created the first innings, and you're expecting to see this overlay, that won't work, that won't be there. So the PCS Pro needs the innings data to basically to load, to know what to load into this baseline overlay. However, you can check that the overlays are working pre-match by using this match title slide. So that will work in the video display prior to obviously starting the stream, but also prior to creating that first innings. So again, always good to check that's working. If you do have any issues with the overlay, and there has been some issues caused with OneDrive in particular interfering with this recently, which we have solved in the next release of PCS Pro, which is coming next week. There is another option under here as well, which is to restart the overlay engine as well. And next week's release, there'll be some more improvements to that process as well to get that going. But so it should be very solid now. But again, definitely worth checking in advance of the toss that the overlays are all working.
Pete, just a quick one. There's a couple of messages that have come in regarding antivirus. It's maybe just worth mentioning that as well, just with regards to the overlays.
Sure. So that was another one. I mentioned OneDrive, but antivirus has been, for whatever reason, has been a little bit harsher this season on attacking basically this is a little mini web browser that we use to display the overlays, and these are related to the media components which run all things video within PCS Pro, which are supplied by a third party. So antivirus has been in some cases attacking the overlays and not liking those. So we definitely recommend that you add PCS Pro to your specific exclusions on your antivirus, so that then precludes that being attacked by the AV. There's a document about that on our support Zendesk website, which is support.nvplay.com, and go into the knowledge base section on there as well. There's one there about OneDrive and also one about the antivirus as well. So hopefully that and that's worked really well over the last few weeks once we became aware of those issues for some users that were experiencing that. Okay, so the next section is just around the auto capture. So obviously that's a key thing, critical for video highlights that you want to stitch together at the end of the game or end of the innings even, and play either into the live stream or post to your own YouTube channel or post to your own website, etc. And even embed them on the Play Cricket Match Centre. So auto capture does require a few things to be set up. So just to go through those one by one. So firstly, you do need to come to video and capture edit video. And obviously there is a warning here around video being consented. So that is in there. That's the first one. In this mode, you're now set up, as you can see here, start ball clip. This is for manual ball clipping, which is more of an analysis, a video analyst setup. So we do then have this feature called auto capture. So once that's turned on, you don't have to start ball clip and end ball clip. You're just then in the normal scoring mode of capture. The last thing, or third thing to do with that is to come into tools configuration and video capture, and then just check again. Really recommend this on the morning of a game, that you've got this all sorted and set to what you want. So you can see here, auto capture is now enabled. Capture every ball, because that was my previous setting, has been automatically loaded. But if you don't want that, you can untick that and just tick whatever combination of 4, 6 wicket milestone you want, and obviously that reduces, you know, the number of balls that you've got, but maybe you're not interested in dot balls, you know, whatever happens. So you just record the highlights as it were, and it will do that. However, yeah, I'll leave that on, capture every ball. So check that and go okay. And then a couple of things to point out here as well is that once we're in auto capture mode, you'll see this blue border around the video display. So that is a visual signifier that you're in that mode. And if I hover over the window itself, I will get this pop-up tooltip saying that I'm auto capturing, so I'm ready to go. And just to confirm for those that don't know, so basically how the auto capturing works is that every time I score a ball, as you can see from down this column, it will record a 17-second clip for a normal delivery, and then a 37-second clip for a wicket. Ignore the 1.1 there. That's where I did one too quickly yesterday when I was setting the game up. So yeah, so 17-second clip and a 37-second for a wicket clip, and that's taken backwards from where you've finished scoring the ball, basically. And yeah, we'll get onto a little bit later, but a good thing to have that video column open so that you can check visually that all those clips are being created as you go. The last pre-match one around video is if you've got enough bandwidth and you want to publish those highlights on the Match Centre during play, then the last one to tick is this live upload option here. So without that on, you're only capturing the ball clips locally on your machine, even though you're streaming. But live upload will then send them to the server and yeah, publish 4s, 6s, wickets, milestones automatically to the Match Centre. So yeah, remember to do that one. If you do run into bandwidth issues, a bit like lowering the bitrate or resolution on the stream, if you do run into bandwidth issues and things are running a bit slow in terms of video on the internet, then you can untick that, because those clips can be uploaded later post-match when you're not streaming and you might be back at home and you've got a better internet connection. So yeah, so it's a tip as well to turn off live upload, especially if you notice, so down here there's an upload count on the status bar. So if you notice that the upload count is getting really high, then yeah, good idea to turn that off and perhaps yeah, worry about that after the game. The key is obviously capturing the ball clips in the first place. Next thing to check pre-match is your auto replay settings. So come into this settings cog here and streaming auto replays and activations. So we'll come in here and we'll see that this is all enabled at the moment. So yeah, enable checkboxes down the right hand side. So this top one, the enable ones here, these just enable the activation, which can just be an MP4 or a PNG or a JPEG file. And again, this has come from that _media folder that we talked about at the start, where these drop-down lists are populated by what's in that folder. So really key that they're put in there pre-match, and then they'll be available to select here. But yeah, to play the actual replay after that activation, then you need to enable the auto replay checkbox is for all of these as well. So you can see here we've got three MP4 files ready to go. Down the bottom, use the instant replace ones. This ball videos one is more for when there's an analyst combined, but it's a bit of a more of a coming feature as well. And then down the bottom, there's a really key warning here that for auto replays to work, the streaming overlay control needs to be on auto or auto with cards. And basically the idea there is that if you've manually selected one of these other slides down here, then there must be a reason for that. That's why you want to do that. So therefore, we're not going to interrupt what you're doing with an auto replay in that scenario. So if you do get to that point of wondering why your auto replays aren't working, then check that setting. There'll also be, in that scenario, there'll also be a little warning in here with that triangle exclamation mark to say that you're not on auto with cards or auto, and hence your replays aren't working. So really important to check that one. Another word about timing on the auto replays, and I'm sure most of you have realized this, but just to emphasize, so the timing or the length of the replay is backwards again from when you've scored the ball. So there are some scenarios where obviously scoring the ball is not as easy as what it sounds. For example, was that a 4 or was that a 6? And I know this is going to go against all the scorers in the room, but I am one myself, so I've learnt to adjust my technique a little bit, and rather than wait for the umpire signal, I will choose one of them, a 4 or a 6, and score it, because I don't want to miss the replay. And obviously, if you're wrong, you guess wrong, then it's not really going to matter anyway, because the umpire signal is not going to be shown on the stream, because you'll be in the replay, unless the signal is really long and coming, obviously, and you're back out of the replay. And obviously you can edit the delivery immediately after anyway. So the key really is, if you're building your audience and you're building your engagement with that audience, the key is to get that, is to get the replay in. So if you pick 4 and it's a 6 or vice versa, then it's not a major biggie. When you do the edit, and then if you put a highlights package together later, then the overlay will be correct when you do that, because you've edited the ball. Wickets are a little bit different, because obviously that takes a little bit longer, especially when there's a fielder involved that you may not be familiar with, or potentially multiple fielders. But there is an unknown option on the wicket dialog. And again, I've adapted myself from being a purist scorer to learning that actually the replay is the priority at the moment. So I'll pick unknown to get the replay in a proper time. Otherwise, yeah, you'll just get video from way too long after the actual ball as the video. So pick unknown, and again, go back and edit it as soon as you can. And again, if you then use that in a highlights package later on, the overlay attached to it will be correct with the correct dismissal key. That's a word on timings around that. I know it goes against the grain, but it may take some people a little bit of time to get used to it, but it does make those replays really, really good. Overlay settings, so just some other tweaks you can make here. So if I come into the settings cog again, come to overlay settings, so the top left is can be a club logo or a competition logo, sponsors logo, and again you can actually access this from anywhere, but this is this is from a different folder, not my _media folder. So you can browse to any part of your computer to load the logo into the top left. Just a word on that. So a lot of people ask about what's the best resolution or size for this. So basically what PCS Pro does here is that it sort of automatically refits the size of the file that's loaded to be 90 pixels high based on a 1080p resolution of the video. So basically, and then it will recalculate the width of the logo based on that 90 pixels high. So what will happen is that basically portrait logos like this one will look a bit smaller, but landscape ones that are shorter height-wise, but wider, will look a bit bigger because they're allowed to stretch out this way a little bit. Whereas something like this is only going to be squeezed into that corner, as it were, because of the calculation being done on the height. So if you are preparing those, it's a good tip, and I'm sure you've noticed if you look at other streams that probably the best ones are the ones that are a bit longer, and especially obviously if it's a sponsor to give them more exposure, and you can kind of see the difference there with the MV Play one there being a bit more of a landscaped shape to give it that extra size or appearance of extra size. Under overlay settings as well, you can also see here there are overrides. So I've actually done this on one of the teams here. So obviously the logos and the team colors should be loaded in advance. And I think most of them now are all there for the play cricket teams and clubs. But you can update these if you need. Obviously there can be clashes. We do have some auto logic in behind or in PCS Pro, where if the two team colors clash too much, we will default one of the teams to their secondary color if that's loaded. So keep an eye on that. But if you still think they're too close, then you can come in here and select another one. Let's go horrible and see what happens. That should change to do that, and that will only do that for this match. So it will revert to the normal colors for the next game. Okay, starting the stream. So we'll get to that point. What I'm going to do, just because there's a lot of people on the call and I don't trust the internet, I will just change where I'm going to stream to. Oh, actually, no, I won't do that. Sorry, not logged in correctly. Yeah, so I'll just start the stream very briefly when we get to this point. But yeah, key process, and yeah, timing wise, we'd suggest doing this around just as the players and umpires are about to come onto the field. We notice that some people are starting their streams quite a lot earlier than that, which is fine, but obviously there is data usage involved with that, and potentially doesn't need to be done so early, but obviously there's lots going on before a game, so maybe that's the most convenient, but we'd suggest closer to the start of play. So if I click start live stream, video consented, if I come to yes, you'll remember earlier when we were at YouTube, we copied the embed code. So if I go Control V, I can now add this to the match center immediately. However, we did also talk about new YouTube accounts not allowing embedding immediately. So you can see down here, we do have this checkbox here that you can tick if you know that your YouTube account doesn't support embedding yet. And what we do there, if that's ticked, obviously you wouldn't need to do the top bit, but if that's ticked, then what we do is we put a nice placeholder at the top of the Play Cricket Match Center that basically says you can watch this live stream on YouTube, and it will link off, so viewers going to your Match Center can then be taken straight away on YouTube account, excuse me, to watch that there. But we'll do this for now, so we'll go save. Be aware that the embedding, if you are doing that, does take a couple of minutes to come through, so don't panic if the embed isn't on your Match Center immediately, and obviously refreshing that page helps as well to get to that point. If we now come back to YouTube and come to that event, I should be getting some stream coming through, and we will need to click the go live button. Once that's ready, you'll get prompted for this. There we go. So we can close that and go live. So we'll need to come into YouTube and click that to do that. I won't do it, and I'll stop the stream shortly because I'm not sure about the internet. But yeah, you will need to do that. But then what we also do recommend is actually if you don't have really good internet, we do recommend logging out of YouTube at this point, so that you haven't got this browser open with the stream playing from the same machine that you're also streaming from. So yeah, remember to do that if you can. So go live, and then log out and close the browser. One other tip while we're in here as well is that if you didn't copy the embed code from here previously, then you can actually now get it from here by right-clicking there, and you can see there, copy the embed code, and you can then come back to PCS Pro, and let's say you forgot to or decided not to add the stream to the Match Center. Then you can come to live and add live stream to Match Center and do that later. So once you've got that embed code, so you can do that after you've started the stream, and refresh the Match Center page, and it will come through. You won't need to restart the stream for that one. Okay, so once we've got to that point, you can see I've stopped the stream just because it can be a bit ropey with so many people on Teams. During the match, we do still, especially early on, still recommend just observing a few things to make sure that things are working and as they should be. And I've certainly taught myself to do this doing my own few games, own club games rather. So for example, checking the auto capture. So if I score that was good timing. Not really trying to do this in time with the video, but let's do that. So you will see there that this is now creating the web clip down on the status bar down here, and the 17 seconds has appeared in the video column. So creating the web clip still, and once that is done, it's then uploading down here. So I've got live upload on, so that's now going to go through, and I've observed that everything's okay with that. So I'm happy that the ball has been captured and it's been uploaded, and everything's reset for the next one. So yep, I know, again, there's a lot going on at the start of a game, what strikers, who's the striker, who's the non-striker, who's the opening bowler, all of that stuff, umpires waving at you. But yeah, in that first over, always a good idea just to check that everything is doing what it should be doing. And obviously with the auto capture one, really important that, if you don't realize until much later in the game that auto capture isn't on or hasn't been working, then, you've actually lost your ability to do video highlights later. So really important to, to keep an eye on that early on, and yeah, make sure that's all working. Other one in terms of manual overlays as well. So there's a lot of buttons that you can use down here at any time, or apart from the grayed out ones, obviously they're inactive because these things don't apply at the moment. Again, auto with cards, so this means that full screen cards like batting cards, bowling cards are shown in between overs on a pre-programmed natural cycle. So again, you're informing your audience a lot without actually having to click any more buttons than normal. But yep, you can get more creative if you've got time in between overs or during pauses in play to put in whatever. So if we can do a full batting card. There's not much data in this game, but anyway, we can do that sort of thing manually if we want to. We can do a bowling card. Excuse that green. This match summary one I really like. Not so great in the first innings, but in the second innings of a game, it's a really good one. And obviously, in the Manhattans and the Worms and all that sort of thing as well provide context. They are the three graphs ones and the batting, bowling, and partnerships cards. They're the 6 that are in the auto with cards rotation, so they will be shown anyway. But another good one around situation. So first innings, there's not much to say, but it's a really good one to use in the second innings when there's a run chase on. But again, the main overlay will have that target and run rate required stuff anyway. But yeah, a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, these grey buttons will become active when these things happen based on the scoring. And obviously, if you're on auto with cards, then they will show into this baseline overlay anyway, but they will be active for you to manually select until to become inactive again. Down the bottom, just widen that out a bit, seeing as we're focusing on that. So there's also these sorts of ones around the batters and bowlers and their stats. If I'm streaming, then this image and video will become active, and you'll be able to select from your underscore media folder. You'll be able to select the image and video that you want to play into the stream at that point. So it might be a drinks break and you've got, you know, a sponsor's ad to play, or you want to play a player profile or something into as an image into the stream as they come out to bat. You can do that sort of thing as well, as long as they're all preloaded, obviously. And then down the bottom, you can see I've got one loaded here as well. So these custom messages at the bottom. So might want to be showing this sort of information when there's a rear rain break. And there's also a full screen one there where you'll get a header basically, and then a full screen message there, which might be something like update to playing conditions once you've got a restart time. So it might be, you know, maximum number of overs per bowler has changed, or the power plays have changed, etc. So you might want to, you know, put that into a custom message to show your audience. The other one, and I will just restart the stream briefly. It's just around the instant replay. So once the stream is underway, this button here is active. So you can replay the last ball into the stream. So let's say, for example, there was something of interest. Let's say it was a wicket on the last ball of an over, and there's a bit of a delay with the new batter. Then you can actually play that last ball into the stream. And you can also, I haven't actually captured one since restarting the stream, so that's why that's not working. So you can do that, and then you can also see down the bottom, you can also do an instant replay. So that's literally something that's not a ball clip, but it might be of interest. It might have been a drop catch, or it might be a close run out, or something like that. And you think, you know, and if you've got time and you've got these things accessible, that you want to play a replay of that, and you can see that that's replayed as normal. And gone back to the live action, and then as you've seen, you can also do motion replays as well. Stop that, and to go back to actually restart that. Sorry, one other thing on that. So also replaying a selected ball. So you can see here I've gone back to a previous ball. If I come down here, and you can see selected ball clip is now active, so I can actually play that ball clip into the stream. So for example, again, that might be a wicket on the first ball of the over, and there was a replay at the time, yes, but you actually want to play it again because it was a sensational catch or something like that, and you want to do that, and you can come back and highlight that ball, selected ball clip, and it will play it into the stream. Okay, in terms of user layout, just a couple of things here. Yep, so you can see that I've got a few things open, but yeah, work, you know, over the course of a few games if you haven't already, to work out what works for you. You can use these auto hide buttons here to hide those if you need more room for things that are more important. But you can see here I've got a few things along here for sort of quick access that I don't need to go into very often, but I can get to them quickly by having them along there rather than having to come to view and get into them that way. Okay, so post-match, I guess the main thing post-match is highlights packages. So again, we can come to video highlights and do them from here, or under video and video packages and from there. But yeah, I'm sure you're mostly familiar with this. Lots of options in here in terms of what you're doing. If you want to play it into the stream, say after innings 1 during the break, you can just select it for the innings and do that, or even just the previous session. So if it's maybe a multi-day game, you can do it that way. But I guess generally it's probably a post-match highlights package with whatever combination of these things you want to use. and whatever ball clips you want to include. The maximum video length, probably don't need to worry about that. At recreational level, it can be as long as you want. That's more of a broadcast arrangement restriction for say the ECB, where they can only have highlights packages of televised games of certain length. So you don't need to worry about that, I'm sure. But yeah, pick what you need to, generate the package, and then this is still only a preview of the package, which you can watch by clicking the play button here. You can see you get the overall duration, and obviously all the ball clips matching the criteria I selected are in chronological order, but you can remove clips if you want to, and you can also insert, you can remove those, and you can also change their order if for whatever reason you want to put something out of order, as you can see, when you highlight a selected clip, you can also do some custom settings for that selected clip. You can have a different exit animation, for example. So the default is a fade, so it's a nice transition between one clip and the other, but you can change that to something else. You can take off the watermarks and the overlay if you want for that particular clip for whatever reason. You can add an audio track if you want to, etc. You can even, play around with the clip length. So, for example, you might want to trim the bowler's run up. 17 seconds might be too long in most cases, so you can trim the bowler's run up start if you want to. And then once all done, once you're all happy with that, then obviously, save the video. We'd recommend 720p again. Lower if it's a big highlights package for whatever reason. You've got a number of clips, large number of clips in there, and you can publish to the Match Center or upload and share. This will give you a URL link that you can then copy and then email to coaches, players, spectators, supporters, whatever, so that they can download the highlights package themselves and get to that. One other thing while we've got that created is that there's also then the option to add specific balls to that highlights package. So you can come to ball by ball, for example, and right click on a ball that's not a 4 or 6 or wicket or a milestone, but you want to include it because it was a drop catch or something interesting happened, and you can see there I can immediately go add to package, and then if I come to video and view that current package, then that ball 2.1 will be at the end of this video clip, of the end of the highlights package here. And again, you can then move that into order if you want to. And you can also do that via another menu, so video and video ball by ball. So this panel here, which will always show the last, or default to the last over, but you can actually go all of the innings, and again you can right click and add to package and come to then review that and move the ball. So that's highlights packages. One other actual last thing, if you want to do a highlights package for a particular player, then you can right click on their name, come to Stats Wizard, and it will filter just to them, and then obviously you can pick whatever you want to. 4 and 6s, so 3 balls there, and I can then add that to a new package, 3 clips there. So someone gets an amazing century, then you can give them a highlights package just for their own reference, or for showing in the club rooms that night, or posting to Facebook or whatever, YouTube, whatever. So that's how you can do an individualized highlights package. Okay, we're almost out of time, probably gone a little bit over already, so just wanted to finish, Neil mentioned this at the start, finish this around software support. So come into the help menu, come to report an issue, and this will prepare what we call our diagnostics, which are really important for us to identify the cause of any problem that you may have had, and more importantly for us is to then be able to either provide that information to you so that it doesn't happen again, or a workaround, and then ideally build it into the software that instance can't happen again. So yeah, really important to get this, and important to do this as soon as possible after an incident or during, if there's anything wrong, because those diagnostics in the background are constantly updating. So if you send it in after a game is finished, then they're not likely to be or not likely to contain the information we need. So use this, and yeah, obviously the type of issue is live streaming, and that will come directly to us. That won't go through to the Play Cricket Help Desk. If it is a normal scoring issue, then yeah, use this one. That will go to the Play Cricket Help Desk, so they support that, but we support streaming and analysis support issues at recreational level. Subject and description. So again, we appreciate that during a game you're pretty busy, hard to type in a lot of detail while the game is going on, but if you can, that'd be great, especially around what you were doing at the time, anything like some type of unusual editing that you might have been doing, anything weird like a wicket and a retirement on the same ball or something like that. Or obviously for live streaming issues, more importantly, if it's around video or ball clipping, replays or something like that, then try and explain what that is, and then once you've done all that, the send button will be active, and then that'll send us a report, and we'll respond as soon as we can. So that's how to do the software stuff. For the hardware stuff, so for anything around the cameras or camera, and if you're wireless, the nano stations or network adapters and things, then yeah, that's contact Phil King on that for support around hardware. But once you're up and running, that should be pretty minimal around that. So yeah, software to us, hardware to Phil. Hopefully you've learned something tonight. I'll stop sharing my screen and hand it back to Neil.